Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Yes, Professor
My
Mishra.
connection is a little bit dodgy, but I'm sure that we'll be able to do it very efficiently. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes.
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Namaste, Himanshu ji. We were waiting for you. Very happy to see you. Himanshu ji, I can't hear you.
Yeah, namaste everyone. I think now you can hear
Namaste.
me.
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Good, good.
And very good to see you. It it's a great pleasure to have each one of you here today on this platform. So let me just tell you the background. Our school and our school management have always been very keen about giving the right guidance at the right time, and that somewhere brought in the concept of career and the most important one, which needs to be brought to the knowledge of parents and students. And somehow, as it is said, when you have good intentions, you get to meet the right people who make it possible for you to do it. And Mr. Himanshu Dev has been one such angel, God sent angel, who gave us the guidance and who also made it possible for us to get in touch with universities and people like you, the professors, the dean and the vice dean, as we have today from OP Jindal Global University. He made it possible for us to get in touch with them and organize a series of these career talks that we are launching today. So this is a history in the making for RRIS, as this sets out to be the very first Aadharshila Career Talk at RRIS. It's a great pleasure that we are beginning or we are launching this ambitious project in association with the OP Jindal Global University. So I would like to now formally introduce the speakers for today. And Amit sir, if I could see your screen. I hope you're presenting the screen.
Yes, ma'am. I'm presenting my screen. I hope everybody is able to see it.
Okay. It seems to be very small. 1 minute. Sir, I can't see the screen. I hope others can see it. Sorry, Amit sir, I can't see the screen. So no problem. Great. Yes, here it is. So first of all, thanks to technology for making it possible to bring all of us here together on this platform. And it's a great pleasure to introduce Professor Arjya Majumdar to all of you. Professor, he teaches corporate law and related subjects at JGLS. Prior to joining JGLS, he was working as a corporate lawyer with law firms such as Economic Laws Practice, Fox Mandel. Amit sir, there is something happening with your screen. I'm so sorry. Let me read out from here. So Professor was working as a corporate lawyer with law firms such as Economic Laws Practice, Fox Mandel Little, and Desai and Diwanji. As a corporate lawyer, Mr. Majumdar was advising large corporate houses and PSUs on matters relating to mergers and acquisitions, capital markets, foreign investments into India, joint ventures, and private equity. He has structured and handled transactions and deals involving share purchases, investments, takeovers, IPOs, FCCBs, GDRs, has undertaken due diligence exercises, drafting, vetting, and negotiation of transaction and offer documents, and has provided interpretative opinions on Indian commercial law. In addition, he has considerable experience in advising companies in sectors such as telecom, real estate, renewable energy, and infrastructure. Sir is the Dean of the university, which is known, well-renowned. It's #1 law university in India. So it's a great pleasure and privilege to have you. On behalf of RRIS, I welcome you.
Thank
We're
you.
very, very honored to have you here, sir. I would also like to introduce another eminent speaker for the day today, that is Professor Dr. Anand Mishra. Dr. Mishra received his doctorate from Louisiana State University, US. Dr. Mishra was a recipient of the Gilbert Foundation Fellowship to advance his own doctoral research while contributing to the understanding of financial uncertainty and risk attending renewable electricity generation. Dr. Mishra's research work is mainly in the area of renewable energy, finance, and industry practices. Before joining academia, Dr. Mishra worked with banking and insurance industry for around 8 years. Dr. Mishra served in various managerial capacities at ABN AMRO and AXA Insurance. As a financial services industry practitioner, Dr. Mishra worked in key capacities in operational as well as strategic domains, including retail and private banking, bank assurance, export credit, and treasury departments. During his industry stint, he was also engaged with market research projects for clients such as Orange SA, Budweiser, McKinsey India, UBS, and AIG. Dr. Mishra maintains a keen interest in the startup activities in India. Currently, he is an advisor to two startups in Mumbai working in the domain of robotics and animatronics. Sir, it's a great privilege to have you. Looking forward to hearing from you. Now, to make it possible to get the best of these speakers, we need someone who knows the right questions to ask them, who knows what today's generation needs, and what would be the best way to take it out from them. And for that, we have the person, the one who knows how to do it the best way, and that is Mr. Himanshu Dev. Himanshu ji is a higher education and career expert with experience in education in the United States of America, India, and the Middle East. Apart from consulting and training schools and universities, he guides students to get into the best universities with the best of scholarships. Through a unique, holistic, and miraculous approach to counseling, his students have reached Ivy League universities like MIT, Harvard, and you can see the long list. And he has been very humble. He hasn't given the entire introduction. I know it's a very, very huge introduction that he has, but then we don't need to introduce because many of my school people are already aware of his achievements. His students have been taken into these prestigious universities and to IITs, IIMs, many others on up to 100% scholarships. So I can say he's a ray of hope. He's a ray of encouragement and confidence for the deserving children, for those who need the right push. And Himanshu ji, we are indebted to you for making it possible, for curating how Aadharshila Career Talks should look like. And thank you very, very much. And here's all the best to the entire RIS team. And with best wishes to OP Jindal Global University. I would now like today's host and the moderator, Mr. Himanshu Dev, to start the conversation with both the professors, the Dean and the Vice Dean from the university here. Over to all three of you. Thank you once again. Welcome to everybody who has taken out time to be here. Thank you. And I would just like to add here that midway during the program, I might have to log out. There is some course that I have enrolled in. I might have to join in there, but the vice principal of my school, Dr. Smita Gandhi, would be there with you till the end of the program. So over to all of you. Thank you.
So,
Himanshu ji.
Thank you, Dr. Jaya. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Ratna International School, for taking the lead. And we have been associated and we have been doing some activities around. And, I really applaud Ratna International School to take the lead today. And we have students and staff members, educators, attending from almost, I think, 14 schools in Mumbai itself. And then I have had my own personal experience with Jindal Global University as well. I've spent time there. I've worked with multiple faculty, up to the Vice Chancellor as well. Spent some time with them as well.
Himanshu ji, excuse me. Himanshu ji, there is an echoing of your voice. I hope there is no other device open next to you, except for the one that you are using for this. There seems to be an echo, and I also request all the other participants to please keep themselves on mute. Yes, Himanshu ji, please go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yes. So I think, yeah, the echo went off, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah, I
better
think
now.
it
Thank you
was.
so much, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So I didn't have any device on, just to make it clear. So I was doing fine. So yeah, so I was thanking Ram Ratna International School to take the lead,
Thank you,
and a
sir.
group of Mumbai area, and even what we call the Greater Mumbai. So to bring in around 14 schools as part of these Aadharshila talks, and
Yes, sir.
I
Good.
feel
Thank you for
pride in
mentioning.
inviting.
Yes, thank you for mentioning. There are 14 institutions from Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, and Thane mostly who have partnered with us for this talk. Thank you.
Yes. So of course it's a big thanks, because we talk about schools collaborating, but this we see schools collaborating in action. And when so many schools are coming together to talk to one of its kind university, it feels privileged for me, because for me it is all about the access. For me, it's all about getting the students to talk to the best people and to approach them and to talk to them, and that's why we have kept it not just like a presentation. And when I proposed it, the school was very happy to see that we'll have it like a talk show. And both of the professors here uh, echoed the same. They said, we were also thinking exactly the same. We don't want to do a presentation here, because OP Jindal University is not about presentations. It's about the experience. It's about the teaching excellence. It's about the interdisciplinary studies. It's about the global nature of the university, and it's about the research from the word go itself. At undergraduate level, there are very few universities where we can find research as well. And as we move
That's
on,
so impressive. So impressive. Thank you.
right, yeah. So as we move on, we would want to go into, but then I would start with the first question. And that question would be to Professor Majumdar, as he leads the admissions. So at the admission viewpoint, why would a student who is studying at a good school, let's say in Mumbai or Thane or Kalyan or any of these areas, which is Greater Mumbai, and we have so much here, why would that student think to go to Delhi or around that area to study at OP Jindal Global University? And then also, when we land at the Delhi airport, we are not going towards JNU or Delhi University. We go a little bit far, maybe a couple more hours away. Why would somebody choose to go to OP Jindal Global University?
Well, thank you very much, Himanshu, for this question, and thank you, RRIS, for having us on this talk. It's a very, very important question, one that we get asked every now and then. That why should I shift away from my home city or my hometown while I have so many opportunities here?
Right.
I'd say the answer is twofold. The answer lies really in the choice of university that you'd like to go to. Now, yes, Mumbai University has some very, very fine colleges. I've visited Mumbai University many times. I've lectured at St. Xavier's a couple of times. And there's some colleges that are really, really amazing. But when you stack up the level of faculty or the level of quality in terms of our teaching excellence or in terms of our research or these other things that Himanshu mentioned, there at that point of time, the student and the parent really need to take a call as to whether or not it's worth sending their child or worth moving cities for 3, maybe 4, even 5 years from Mumbai, which is, for relative comfort, to a place like Sonipat. Now, the second reason really is in terms of diversity. Now, traditionally, what has happened in most of these city-based public universities is that you will have people from the same city or perhaps the outskirts coming in to study in these same colleges. If you're looking for a more diverse experience, if you're looking for an experience where people from all over the world perhaps descend upon one campus, then perhaps it is time to look beyond Mumbai University. In terms of JNU and Delhi University, I agree again. JNU is a very fine university and one of the top social science universities in the postgraduate space. I'm not so sure if they have too many options in the undergraduate programs. However, when it comes to Delhi University, again, the same issue that comes up is that there's hardly any diversity, and there's a lot of people from Delhi who will be coming in to learn at colleges at Delhi University. Again, the same question. Does it match up in terms of quality? Now, if I were to ask any of the parents or the students here, who is your favorite teacher, or which teacher do you think is the best? And even if I were to ask one class, there'd be a wide variety of answers, because, you know, some people might say X is my favorite teacher. Some people might say Y is my favorite teacher. So there's really no idea on no basis for saying this teacher is better than the other. But a number of agencies, a number of institutions have categorized one particular parameter or metric which sort of informs teaching excellence. And that one parameter is that faculty-student ratio. How many students do you have for every one faculty member? I can give you an example. The UGC, the University Grants Commission, requires that all colleges have at least an 18:1 faculty-student ratio, which means that for every 18 students that you have, you must have at least one faculty. We think that that's not good enough. So as on date, we have one faculty member for every 9 students. Now, what that means is that our classrooms are smaller, there's better engagement or more meaningful engagement between faculty members and students, which allows for a better learning experience, in our opinion. Now, if faculty-student ratio is not on top of your list, then maybe that's one of the reasons why you should not consider JGU. But I gave that as just as an example of what are the things that JGU does over and above other traditional colleges such as Mumbai University, Delhi University, and JNU, so that people do consider coming to JGU. Anand, do you want to add something to that? Anand, you're muted.
My bad. It has to happen at least once in every conversation. So I'll speak from my experience in having taught in 3 different schools of the university. I've taught in law school of the OP Jindal University. I've taught in the business school of the OP Jindal University. And now I'm teaching in Jindal School of Banking and Finance. I can confidently say Professor Arjya has mentioned one of the criteria, and he has also mentioned about the quality of the faculty there. I'll speak about my current school, Banking and Finance. We have a very good mixture and balance between practical experience and the academic experience. We have people with 25 years of industry experience, one individual. I have only 8 years of work experience and industry, but we have Professor Ramachandran, who has worked for 25 years in New York as an MD of E&Y. I'm not citing one specific example. I'm talking about the philosophy of the university and the school, that we wish to give students an exposure not only to the academic concept, but also how these academic concepts are applied within the industry as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, or as perhaps an employee in a startup or small organization or large organization, even family-owned businesses. I am very happy that I am able to contribute to the learning of the students because I had this industry experience. And whenever I teach finance to students, I bring in that experience. In fact, every school of the university does the same. And there are many other things which I'm sure that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, good to know that, Professor Majumdar and Professor Mishra. As we come to know about teacher and student ratio, and we come to know about the interdisciplinary things, the industry collaborations which you have, I would like to know what comes as your most popular program. Which are the, let's say, the 3 or 4 very popular programs which students already aspire for. Of course, university wants students in all their programs, but I hope that you would be very mindful in approaching a newer audience to tell them that this is what our popular thing is, and don't be on that side that I have so many kids and all are favorites to me.
Well, Himanshu, thank you. It's a very loaded question. It's like, so because I handle admissions for the entire university, that question is like asking which of your children is the most favorite.
And I would like to say that banking and finance is
That's
the
what I
best.
already said.
Well, I can tell you that, okay, so as ma'am mentioned earlier, our law school started in 2009, and we're almost as old or just about as old as RRIS. We're also just about completing 11 years this year. So our law program undoubtedly is one of the biggest programs that we have. It's very, very popular. This year we will be taking in 600 students in the 5-year integrated law course. So that's 300 in BA LLB and 300 in BBA LLB. And ma'am was absolutely right when she pointed out that the Jindal Global Law School was ranked the #1 law school in India by QS University rankings on the basis of employer reputation, on the basis of academic reputation, and on the basis of the research publications by the law school. So undoubtedly that remains one of our biggest schools and most popular schools. Another couple of popular school programs that we have, albeit they may not be as big as the law school, is the liberal arts program. Now, liberal arts is something that's taken off in recent times, and we see universities like Ashoka, Shiv Nadar, Flame, and closer to Mumbai, even Symbiosis offering now liberal arts programs. And I'm quite certain anybody interested in the liberal arts philosophy and ethos will consider all of these universities. So the liberal arts program has also taken off in quite a big way. The third program that we think at the undergraduate level is really popular is our BA in Global Affairs. Now, this program is a one of a kind in India, where we start training students to become experts or at least knowledgeable in international relations just out of school, right? Just after they pass grade 12. What we realized was a lot of students were doing political science and then going on to do a master's in international relations. And we thought, why not we teach global affairs right from the word go? And finally, it's not, again, like I mentioned, it's not as large as the business school or even the liberal arts program, but we're seeing a surge in terms of our popularity and interest in our BCom program offered by the Jindal School of Banking and Finance. Now, Professor Anand Mishra is here, and he'll talk to you more about why that is and why this BCom is unlike any other BCom program in India, at least, and perhaps even the world, primarily because of its industry connect and its focus on technology. But we do expect to see a large number of applicants for our BCom program this year as well. Anand, do you want to add to that, just to talk about the BCom program a little bit? Anand, you're on mute.
I'm sure Mr. Himanshu will have some specific questions about BCom program later on. But yes, we are witnessing a tremendous surge in application in BCom program this year. And having said that, we are only 2-year-old, and I'm sure by the time students here and by the time they're ready for our BCom program, we'll have substantial experience under our belt. But I'm sure Mr. Himanshu will have more questions for me about BCom program later on.
Back to you, Himanshu.
Yeah, as you say that, so I'll try to, put that question very specifically to you, that within these programs, see, when a student gets interested in, let's say, MBA is the most popular degree where people think about. So business, management, commerce, all those things people think about. And students from different fields come to it. In the grade 10, 11, 12, they have varied interests, but then they think about a BCom, let's say a BCom honors programs or a BCom general program. Then we talk about doing BCom along with preparation for the CA or those kind of professional programs. Then we do a BBA. A lot of schools are offering BBA programs as well. Then we come down to, let's say, a program like BA Economics, which you don't do a business, but you do economics, and then few other programs similar to that. So to sum the question, how do you present those schools? How do you present those programs to the students? And what should the student think when a student viewpoint, because I'm a counselor, I talk in that sense. How should a student think, okay, am I fit for a BCom program? Am I fit for a BBA program? Should I do a BA economics? Or let's say some other universities or maybe yours start offering a bachelor's program in maybe finance or banking, like your school name says. So little academic thought on that.
Sure. So I must begin by saying that the chancellor of the university happens to have a BCom degree. Later on, he went on to do his MBA from USA. Vice chancellor of the university again happens to have a BCom degree. And then he went to Oxford, then to Harvard, and he studied law. I also happen to have a BCom degree, and I'm also a chartered financial analyst. And then I went on to do my MBA, and I worked with a bank for a number of years. The point that I'm trying to make that BCom, a Bachelor of Commerce graduates, do wide variety of things, from law to basically be an entrepreneur or work for some sort of bank, and there are various other things. But coming back to the question that you asked me, perhaps one of the important question in the mind of students and parents is that what is the distinction between BBA and BCom? What is the distinction between BA economics and BCom? So let me explain this issue in a very, very simple way. I have taught finance in law school. I have taught finance in business school. Now I am teaching finance in banking and finance school. Similarly, economics is also taught in liberal arts. Economics is taught in international affairs. Economics is taught in business school. Economics is taught in law school as well. In fact, if you were to compare curriculum of BBA and BCom, you would find that there is a lot of commonality as far as the title of the courses and subjects are concerned. Courses are delivered in each school. When I teach finance in law school, I deliver it in a very, very different way. When I teach finance in banking and finance school, it's delivered in a very, very much more focused, much more quantitative way, and slightly more practical. So when economics is taught in a BBA program, the economics is taught as if it is being taught to a future manager, in the sense that economic information is being presented to a manager, and manager is supposed to act upon that. Similarly, accounting information. If the financial statement, balance sheet, and income statement and cash flow statements are prepared by a chartered accountant, the manager is going to look at that information and take some decision on basis of that. Whereas a BCom student will actually be involved in the preparation of those kind of financial statements. Therefore, BCom student will have much deeper information about the accounting, about finance, because BCom student will be the one who will be preparing this information, organizing this information, and manager will be interpreting that information. That's one thing. Every course in BBA program is taught from the managerial perspective, that if you are a manager of an organization, what do you need to know? A BCom student is somewhat being prepared for a professional kind of understanding. So whatever we teach in BCom school, it is taught as to prepare a student for a specialist kind of knowledge. That doesn't mean that the BCom student cannot go and do MBA later, as I did my MBA, because after acquiring some specific knowledge about certain kind of specialized knowledge about some courses and some areas, I went on to do my MBA because I was in a better position to apply my specialized knowledge in a much more strategic fashion, because MBA essentially is about taking some sort of strategic decision. But it's easier for you to become a manager if you have economics. Now, economics, as I have been saying, economics is taught in BCom school, economics is taught in business school, law school, everywhere. But if a student is going to go for a BA economics program, essentially it is taught from a perspective of making the graduate as some sort of, someone who understand policy, someone who understand the broader economic issues of the country and society and the world. And perhaps these kind of BA economics is better suited for people who are interested in working as some sort of researcher, some sort of advisor, as a to policymaker, or perhaps become a policymaker. So the focus of economics program is little different from that of BCom program and from that of BBA program. To summarize what I'm trying to say here, BBA, every course is delivered from the managerial perspective. BCom tries to go into a little bit of depth for most of the courses, and it's much more practice oriented. So in our BCom program, large companies like E&Y and KPMG come and deliver courses like financial accounting and taxation. So it's more of a practice kind of thing. And BA economics is, inform student and gives them skill about, how to analyze policy, how to basically advise policymakers about policy making itself, and how to become a researcher. So there are many other things that can be said, but broadly, these are the important distinction between these three programs.
Okay, so Professor Majumdar, would you like to add similar programs, which let's say we talked about 3-4 programs, you talked about 4 already. So any other thing which because it's a liberal arts university, it's a global university. So what are the other kind of programs which we want to cover, as a chain?
So in terms of students that come to our university, we sort of, I'm seeing this trend where students are either interested in subjects that were just mentioned or programs that were just mentioned that have an element of maths or quantitative aptitude, let's say the BCom or the BA economics or even the BBA. And you have this other cohort of students who come from a very humanities or arts background. And to them, we have, we offer a large number of programs which could be considered as similar. So for example, we have a bachelor's of journalism and media studies, again, one of its kind in India. There are hardly any undergraduate programs that train people to be journalists, which could be taken up by a student who might be equally interested in our liberal arts program, right? Because liberal arts teaches you a whole range of things, and more importantly, it focuses on the manner in which you learn so that you remain a lifelong learner. But that same student who was interested in journalism, if they're also interested in international affairs, and that's quite common, they might also want to try for our global affairs program, right? There seems to be a large number of courses or programs that we have, and of course the full list. I'm not going to give you the full list. It's available on our website, jtu.edu.in. And you could take a look at what all programs we have. But there seems to be either a cohort of students heading towards our BBA, BCom, BA economics programs, or a cohort heading towards our arts and humanities program. This is, of course, apart from our professional program, what we call our professional programs, the law and architecture and design programs, for which you need to have a certain flair for language, for let's say, for comprehension skills in terms of law. And of course, for architecture, you will need to have certain scientific background along with a certain flair for drawing or for designing things, right? So hopefully that answers your question, Himanshu.
Yeah, sure. One question which is coming to my mind, and again, it could be a surprise question or maybe not, which is coming to my mind, somebody coming from Mumbai and somewhere around Delhi, and, the food habits which we see among students. What kind of food would be available there? Is it more of the local Delhi kind of food, or like you call yourself a global university? Is it more about that I'll get only the the global food available? So what kind of food, or maybe you have everything, maybe you have limited, and how do students get access to it? Because I don't know whether everybody knows here is that mostly it is a residential campus. So the people stay on campus itself. It is not that, and you can correct me if it is different, that no students stay outside the university, like taking apartments and those kind of things. Everybody is accommodated on the campus itself. It's like they live on campus. So one thing is about food, and as we talk about accommodation, whatever you want to give tips to the parents, because I see a lot of mothers here, and when their kids are going away from them, whether they will get, let's say, the best pav bhaji or the misal available here in Mumbai, or we are into eating fish and crab, or even on the other side, Mumbai has a big population of Jains and Gujaratis who are completely vegetarians, and all that. I hope you understand. So over to you, and of course, Professor Mishra, if you can add a little bit as well.
Thank you very much, Himanshu. You're making me recall my days as a young lawyer in Mumbai, where I would have a particular pav bhaji wala right underneath my office. I miss him. I miss his pav bhaji as well. So you're right. JGU is a completely residential university, which means that all 5,100 of our students and now close to 570 odd faculty members, we all teach, learn, eat, sleep, pray, live, laugh, and get angry at each other sometimes, all within the campus or within its vicinity. For example, Anandji, he is literally a kilometer away from me. So our faculty members stay nearby campus as well. But you're right, students are not allowed to stay outside of campus, which we think is the best possible scenario in terms of safety, and I'm happy to address any safety concerns that we have. It is a concern that a lot of parents have, that will my child be safe in a place like Haryana, right? And obviously North India brings up certain imagery in terms of safety, particularly for women, and I'm happy to address such questions. I think it's important that one must address these questions. But coming back to your particular question right now, in terms of food available on campus, we've partnered with Sodexo, which is an internationally recognized food and housekeeping services provider for institutions across the world. And they provide wholesome, healthy food on campus. The good news and the bad news together is that the food available from Sodexo is completely vegetarian. Now, I am a non-vegetarian myself, and I come from Calcutta, I like my fish just as much as many Maharashtrians do. And I miss my fish and meat sometimes. So unfortunately or fortunately, the campus is completely vegetarian. However, for those non-vegetarians here, there is an option. We have a food court on campus as well. We call it the Bistwa Mill Bistro, where a number of food outlets are available, including Domino's, Juventus, Punjabi by Nature, Burko's, and even a Subway. We're in talks to get some more of these fast food outlets in. And of course, parents, you must be mindful, if you are sending your children to JGU, please be mindful of the amount of pocket money that they spend on these food outlets, right? We would like them to have good, healthy food at Sodexo at least sometimes. Now, in terms of the cuisine that is available, Himanshu, you're absolutely right. It is global in nature. So on any particular day, one would have anywhere between 20 to 30 food options for every meal. Now, this includes Indian preparations, Chinese preparations, as well as continental European preparations. So we've seen people having, fried rice with pasta sauce, which is weird, I agree, but that's the variation and the range of food that is available. And I must tell you, in my conversations with so many students, that their favorite meal is always on Sunday mornings, either Sunday mornings or Thursday mornings. Because on Sunday mornings, they get the chola bhatura, which is a staple favorite in North India. And on Thursday mornings, they get the medu vada and sambar. So we have a mix of all cuisine from all over India and indeed pretty much all over the world. And I don't think any student from any part of India will miss out on their food while they are at Sodexo. Having said that, of course, we do have standard Indian fare as well. I mean, there will be a standard chawal and dal with some vegetables as well. So while there's a global choice, and it is really as much of a choice as you want it to be.
I would like to add something. So I have worked in Mumbai for 8.5 years, and my staple breakfast used to be kanda bhajia. And I can tell you that pav bhaji is available at the campus. I have it quite regularly. It's quite popular among students. And kanda bhajia is also available. But usul pav, but that's a great reminder for me. Perhaps I'm going to ask some people in Bistro to start serving that as well. So pav bhaji is no problem. Kanda bhajia is not a problem. Vada pav is not a problem. But usul pav, misul pav, I have not seen it.
Okay, so I hope you take it from here, and then we get have that as well. Now moving to the very practical, very pragmatic approach to the admissions. So we got to know about programs. So I have two angles here. One, that how does the admission process work? Like if we have some parents whose student just graduated or who are waiting for the results, so who are in grade 12, and the students who have just been to grade 11. So grade 11 and 12 students. So how does the admission process work? Do you rely a lot on the 12th grade marks? Do you look at the not so popular grade 11 marks? Most of us get a dip in grade 11. So do we get a discount on that? Or do you have a lot of entrance exams? So we'll have to take one more entrance exam. And then I'll have some more questions on the same. So if you can take these to make us understand the timeline and the documents and tests and all needed for the exam.
Thank you so much, Himanshu.
Maybe it is different for different schools as well.
Yeah,
but something like that.
Right. So thank you so much, Himanshu. This is a very important question, and I'm sure a lot of parents are looking forward to this question being answered. So our admissions process depends upon the school or the program that they are entering into, right? For our 5-year BA LLB and our 5-year BBA LLB and our 5-year B architecture courses, we rely solely on a national level entrance exam. Now, the national level entrance exam for the 5-year BA LLB and the BBA LLB is the LSAT India exam, which is scheduled to take place later this month. Now, this is an all India exam. It's very similar to the common law admission test, which is used by all the national law universities in India. However, one critical aspect is that the LSAT India exam does not expect students to already know or already have an understanding of the law, which the common law admission test has. So, the LSAT India is the sole barometer or the sole metric on which we take in students on our into our law programs. The other 5-year program that we have is the Bachelor of Architecture, the B-Arch program. This entrance to this is done through the National Architecture Test, or the NATA, which is scheduled to take place sometime in August this year. So aspirants who want to become architects will need to appear for this exam. And again, there's no two ways about it. We have to go through this exam. The reason being that these two programs, whether the law program or the architecture program, they're slightly different because they're governed not just by the University Grants Commission, but also the Bar Council of India for the law programs and the Council of Architecture for the architecture programs. And because they're heavily regulated, they have to go through a national level entrance exam. On to our other programs. So any program at the undergraduate level, apart from these 3 programs, our application process is as follows. It starts with an application form, which is available online at admissions.jgu.edu.in. Applications are live right now. We're still accepting applications. So if you think you want to apply, please feel free to go ahead right now. Once you filled up your application, and this application form will have a number of questions about the student, about their interest level, what they seek to gain out of the program that they're getting into. Second, once this application has been vetted, has been selected, students will then engage with faculty members on a one-on-one interaction. Now, again, right now, we're doing it only through Skype or Zoom or any other mechanism. And that also takes place online. So typically, anywhere between 15 minutes to 25 minutes with the faculty member. And this is really to gauge whether the student, would be a good fit for the program. Are they joining the program for the right reasons, right? So, for example, if somebody is really hell-bent on let's say, doing economic analysis, and they're applying for the liberal arts program, they could be counseled by our faculty members saying, there is a certain ethos in the liberal arts program which you don't seem to meet. You're better off applying to the economics program. So we don't see it as a rejection or an acceptance of candidates or students. It's not so much of an interview as it is an engagement, right? And of course, once a student is enrolled, the faculty members will have to deal with that student for the next 3 years. So we think it's best that our faculty members get involved in the admissions process itself. Third is a entrance exam called the Jindal Scholastic Aptitude Test, or the JSAT exam. Now, this is an exam that this year what we've done is we've made it completely online. You can sit at home, and I know that many of you are, in Mumbai, Thane, and surrounding areas, and you may not be able to step outside, and we recognize that problem. So now the JSAT exam is completely online. So you can sit at home and the safety and comfort of your own home and apply for this entrance exam. More so, it can be taken at any point of time during the day online. So simply register yourself for the exam, pick a convenient date and a convenient time for yourself, and at the appointed date and time, you will have that exam. Of course, there's no cheating involved because it's a remote proctored AI-enabled exam. So we will be watching you through your webcam. And lastly, we look at the class 12 board results, or the IGCSE certificate, or whatever the class 12 standard results that come up. We do accept IGCSE, we accept your international baccalaureate, we accept all boards. And I admit and I agree that getting a 99% in CBSE is far easier than getting a similar sort of standard in IB or Cambridge board, and we have accounted for that in our admissions policies. So effectively, in terms of admissions, the process for the law programs and the architecture programs is very simple. Sit for a nationwide entrance exam that will take place sometime either in June for the law program and the architecture program in August. For all of our other programs, it's a 4-step process: the application form, faculty engagement, JSAT exam, class 12 board results. But we are also mindful of the fact that class 12 board results aren't out yet this year. So we are happy to roll out what we've been doing so far is been rolling out admission offers to many of our would-be students with the condition that they meet a certain eligibility criteria in their class 12 board results. Hope that answers your question, Himanshu. It's a long drawn answer, but I thought we should spend some time on this.
Yes, sure. Thank you. As I move on with the admissions part, and I am always, even before the parents and even before anybody asks that question, and before the parents, I talk about it, the scholarships. I myself studied on a full scholarship, and then I know for sure a lot of your faculty and other folks, and maybe, a couple of you as well, we get access through the scholarships. And as, it may not be affordable for everyone, what are the kind of scholarships which we get, and what do I have to do? Do I have to be a topper? Does it go on the merit? Do I have to clear an entrance exam, or any other kind of scholarship? So ultimately, to bring down the cost, we haven't discussed much of the cost, but of course we know that access becomes easy when we get a scholarship. So do we have up to 100%? Do we have something paid for our education? What level of scholarships you provide?
All right. So I agree with you, Himanshu, that even I couldn't have completed. I couldn't have gone on my master's degree without some kind of financial aid. And I agree that the quality of education, unfortunately, these days, as you tend to go up in terms of quality, the cost of that quality also seems to increase. And yes, our fees are on the higher side. But at the same time, we believe that no student who wishes to join JGU but can't due to financial duress or financial issues, they can't. We think that they should be allowed in as well. We have a very robust means come merit scholarship policy. What this means is that we take into account the student's performance in the application process, and we take into account the earning capacity of the student's parents. Now, in the Indian context, it is important to acknowledge and recognize that most of the time, undergraduate higher education is paid for or is taken care of financially by the student's parents. There are very, very few students who sort of work their way through college and work. So what we do is we take a look at the students' application process and how strongly they performed. It's not a one-off thing. It's not about just the score in their JSAT. It's not just about how well they did in class 12 board results. So it's a holistic view of the entire application process and their performance there, what we talked about in the earlier question. To that, we give the student a score, all right? A score out of, let's say, 5. Then we take the parents' income tax returns and we stack them up in terms of how much do they earn or how little do they earn comparatively. And then we put these two scores together, giving them equal weightage. So a high-performing student who comes from a family that doesn't earn as much tends to be higher on our list of scholarship, right? Whereas a high-performing student who comes from a very well-off family, a comparatively better-off family, they will be lower down the order compared to our first two. So this way, we end up giving scholarships to almost half of our student body so far. And yes, full 100% tuition scholarships are also available. A number of our students are on 100% scholarship, from previous years as well. So it can range from anywhere between 100% to 10%. And there's a wide, because we take in so many factors, there is a wide number of students that we can sort of help and provide access to.
Okay, yeah, I think that should be beneficial for the parents, and of course we move on to your questions soon. Before that, I have a couple of quick questions with Anand. So Anand, I got to know that your some of your commerce students got to take some technology kind of courses. What do they do with tech? Where is this commerce going with tech? What's that coming to? And then as I asked that question, because I saw that in the US this was a trend that a lot of economics courses were being recognized as science, technology, engineering and math kind of courses. So is that a global trend, as your university is global as well? Where is this science, technology coming with commerce or business?
So if parents who are here and young students who are here, if they did a very simple Google search right now with as dramatic statement as this, is accounting dead because of artificial intelligence, they will find hundreds, and if not hundreds, I think lakhs of articles written on it. Accounting is definitely not dead, but accounting is definitely changing. Accounting profession and financial services profession is definitely changing. I'll very briefly try to explain why it is changing and what is the reason for such dramatic change in accounting and finance profession. If all of you, in fact, most of you will remember then in late 90s, a very simple, chess program began to pose challenge to some of the best chess player in the world, and eventually a supercomputer managed to beat the best human computer in late 90s. At this time, a simple app on iPhone, the chess app on the iPhone, can actually beat Gary Kasparov, arguably the one of the best chess player in the world. Why can it do so? Because chess has very fixed rules. You know that how a king would move, how a queen would move, how a horse would move, a camel would, and whatever else, those pieces are there. Anything which has very fixed rules, I think my connection is a little bad. Anything that is rule based and it has a very fixed pattern can be converted into a program. Accounting is that kind of field. You have a lot of transactions which can be converted into some sort of program, and therefore artificial intelligence can easily do that. Does it mean that accounting is dead? No, it's not. It's just that accountants will have to learn new skills, in the sense that they need to be more aware how to harness artificial intelligence, how to use machine learning. It doesn't mean that accountant has to become an engineer. What it means that accountant needs to be able to use these kind of programs. For years, I've been using many kinds of software to invest money in stock market, take some sort of financial decision. Now, accountants and financial managers need to learn new kinds of programs. That's all there is. So our BCom program, I like to believe that our BCom program is significantly different than any BCom program that is available in India. We are introducing our students very early in their BCom program itself to programs like Tableau, a very basic, very simple introduction to Python programming, very simple introduction to C++ programming, which is not to say I am reiterating that I'm not trying to make anyone engineer, just trying to gently introduce them to the world of technology, which is going to dramatically change financial services. Does it mean the student needs to be, very good with maths, very good with statistics? No. Right now, I can see that a lot of teenagers use much more complicated apps on their phone. They play many complicated games. All I'm expecting from students that they should be able to work on some sort of programs. I'm not asking them to code it extensively. All I'm asking them to work with the program and be familiar with that program. So therefore, we teach our students how to utilize these kind of programs in order not only to understand financial and accounting concepts, but also see how it can be applied in new setting and the new ways in which business is done. So that's what we are trying to focus on in our BCom program. And also, I would just one more thing. In fact, like COVID-19, this COVID situation, businesses will also change. In fact, every business is changing. Every business has legal dimension, corporate governance dimension, financial dimension, operational dimension. Similarly, any BCom student will not be a complete student, so to say, unless that student has some awareness of law, some awareness of governance, some awareness of technology, some awareness of basic kinds of accounting and financial practices, and little bit of managerial critical thinking ability. So we have put together these interesting elements and created a BCom program, which personally I am very proud of. So that's all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Anand. So now I think sticking to time, we are at 5. So I would want to open it up for questions. So the parents have been patient enough, and I saw some smiles, I saw some, movements, and now I think time for the questions. So if the school staff is available, you can ask questions. If the parents want to, feel free to put questions on the chat. And I will take them up. But once you unmute your mic, it becomes a little chaotic. So I would say, in the interest of time and keeping ourselves all alert, you can put the questions on chat, unless you think that it's a too complicated question which you have to ask. So over to you all. And I'm happy to take questions and put it forward to OP Jindal Global University. So over to you all. Questions. The first question is on the law sector. Where is the law thing going? And on the sides, I got a question as well that is the law school a complete part of the university itself? Like, is the law school part of the OP Jindal Global University, or it has a different campus, or are they all together, or the law school works differently? And then on the other side, what are the options beyond a law career?
All right. Thank you so much, Himanshu. And I'm glad this question got asked. The Jindal Global Law School is very much an integral part of the OP Jindal Global University. It is the same campus. We use the same classrooms. Law students and others and students of other schools intermingle just as much. So it's not it's not just the law school. It's the same for every other school. Now, in terms of opportunities in the law sector, now, earlier on, and maybe this was about 40, 50 years back, if you couldn't get into engineering or couldn't get into medicine, you would do law, right? So that seemed to be the story that was given to us when we were fairly young. But all of that changed with the advent of the 5-year law program and of India's economic growth, post-liberalization and globalization. So in terms of opportunities in the law sector, there are always businesses that will want to invest into India, at least so far. And that's been the case for the last 30 odd years. And when businesses are investing into India, they will need to know what is the regulatory framework. This brings about a fairly new, I won't say new, but a fairly recent development in the Indian legal sector, that of the corporate lawyer. So for the students who are listening to this, think of a corporate lawyer, let's say as Harvey Specter in this in the series called Suits. Now, the growth of Harvey Specters in India has been absolutely phenomenal. I myself worked in a bunch of corporate law firms, in Bombay, in Delhi, in New York, in London, and it's fairly lucrative. The other opportunities in the law sector remain the traditional ones, which is litigation, where you stand in front of a judge and you represent your client's case in court, and hopefully you get the order that you want. Apart from these, there are a number of opportunities that are opening up as we go along. For example, there is seeing a rise in terms of social activism, where we have lawyers who are not just content in understanding or knowing what the law is, but to drive a change in the law. For example, let's say, I'd say Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi would be the ultimate lawyer activist, because let's face it, he, with his activism in terms of his independence movement, he changed the laws on which British India used to run, right? So, in terms of joining an NGO or a research think tank, that's not out of the question either. Fourth, I see a number of lawyers who are joining corporations as part of their legal teams. So, big companies like Reliance, and Tata, and Bharti, etc., they have legal teams that run into the hundreds, if not thousands. So, they also engage in the legal aspects for their own companies. Lastly, a number of students are looking at law itself as a pathway program. So a number of our own students have gone on to do MBAs or Masters in Public Policy. For example, I have a student who I taught in 2013 and 14, and she graduated in 2017. She went on to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy in National University of Singapore, and now she's working in the policy cell for Google. So not just standard law careers are available, we're seeing more and more students look at law as a base and as a pathway program. Because let's face it, a program in law or an education in law tells you how to break down, comprehend, and analyze complex ideas. Now, is that a skill that is transferable across sectors? Of course it is, right? Which is why a large number of students are also doing our MBA for that matter, right? All right. Hope that answers that question. There are a few other questions that have come in.
Yeah, one question maybe for Anand is that, like I mentioned before, MBA is a popular degree, and a lot of people want to do an MBA. So, if you want to do an MBA, if your focus is MBA, then the question says, is it better to do an MBA or a BBA with the commerce students, or if I take up science and go for a commerce program or an MBA. So I hope to make it wider. The thing is that I take up science only if I want to do biology or medicine or engineering and those kinds. Does it make sense to take up science and then do commerce or BBA or MBA later? I hope you will be able to understand that question better and, of course, answer it.
Sure. That's a very interesting question. Thank you for that. The bank I was working with, the ABN AMRO Bank, it was a Dutch bank. It has 28,000 employees. Bank, and for that matter, any bank would have in marketing department or sales department. There'll be a few jobs in IT department. There will be a few other jobs in operational department. There will be few jobs in HR department. The point that I'm trying to make that any organization will have various kinds of function and various kinds of department. Now, if a student is from science background and yet wants to do an MBA or wants to get into some sort of financial services or commercial kind of career, there are areas where ability to work with numbers, ability to work with complex mathematical and financial statistical model stands that student in good stead. But there are large number of jobs, in fact, substantial number of jobs that are available for people and opportunities that are available for people who can work with people who have understanding of society. They have sociological perspective. They have perhaps they are good in accounting. So there are a large number of jobs which require different kinds of skill set. So let me be slightly more specific now. If a student has a science background and student also have inclination for kind of work which require mathematical and statistical and basically technological understanding, there are large number of opportunities for them also, and there are students who are not so good with, or they are slightly uncomfortable with numbers, they are uncomfortable with statistical or mathematical models. There are large number of marketing jobs that are available, large number of operational jobs that are available, and management level jobs that are available. And not just jobs, entrepreneurial opportunity is also available for all kinds of people. So I cannot say that science background is better than the art background. It's just that what you want to do. I know my friends from IIT went to IIM Ahmedabad and Calcutta and ended up in marketing division. And I know people who had some sort of economics background. They went on to do something very complicated, areas such as risk modeling in financial services industry. So just to summarize, if you have science, for people with science background, students who do not have science background, they can also get into risk modeling, but they'll have to work a bit harder. But there are large number of opportunities that are available for them as well. I hope I managed to answer your question, and that's the truth. And that has been my experience.
Can I just add on to you, Anand? I come from a science background myself. So I did science in 11 and 12. I never wanted to become an engineer or a doctor. I wanted to be a journalist. And my father said, no, you have to do science so that, when the time comes in class 12, you can at least apply for the IIT, even if you don't want to. And I think that's a story that seems or sounds familiar, right? Of course, I did apply for the IITs. I did apply for law because I knew that science wasn't my thing, right? But much like what Anand described as a meandering career through many sort of phases, I went through a corporate law phase. Now, what I do is basically talk to people, right? And that's all I do. So my point over here, I think, is even if you choose science, commerce, or arts, your school education need not define who you will become. I think that's very important for us to realize and appreciate. that you need not make a choice immediately, and you can go through life, wanting different things at different points of life, and it's at different points of time, right? And it's okay to do so. It's okay not to know today whether I want to be a doctor or a scientist or a chemist or a lawyer or an MBA. It's all right, right? The idea is choosing between science and commerce is that figure out what the next step after that is going to be. Do you need science for that? Do you need commerce for that? Do you need arts and humanities for that? And really, we're touching upon this, but at some point of time, it's not going to happen overnight. At some point of time, you have to get away from looking at science as better than commerce and commerce as better than arts and humanities, right? Because that seems to be the general trend that a lot of people talk about. To put things in perspective, the CEOs or the founders of the greatest technology companies in the world, they're not scientists. Steve Jobs doesn't have an engineering degree, didn't have an engineering degree. He had a liberal arts degree from Stanford. Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, has a BA in political science. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, has a BA in English, right? So if you are at the top of your career, at the top of one of the biggest companies in the world, and it's based on technology, you don't have to be a technologist yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? Back to you, Himanshu.
Okay, yeah. So there are a few related questions here, and one maybe not so related. One question is on physical education. Somebody who is interested in physical education, do they have something at JGU? Then we come to that, of course, we discussed on doing an MBA or BBA. Does science help? So as you mentioned that, we may think that it may not help, but does it help at Jindal Global University that I take science or I don't take science? Does it make a difference at your university that what background I come from? And then on the other side, the question which I asked is physical education. Do you have something there? And then one more question which I got is that if a student wants to develop himself as a software developer, do you have something for them, or you would make way for other universities?
Sure. Let me start with the physical education bit. We do not have a physical education program as of now. We do have some vague, ambiguous plans for it sometime in the fairly distant future, but not in the next couple of years. Having said that, given that we are in Haryana, a state that is known for producing some of India's best sports persons, we do have fairly extensive sporting facilities. A full-fledged cricket field, 2 football grounds that can be used in the day or night, volleyball courts, basketball courts, tennis courts, badminton courts, and even an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So in terms of physical education, while we may not have a program in physical education, we do have the amenities to for these sporting events. In terms of our preference for science or non-science, I can firmly say that we have no preference at all. In fact, all we require is that a student come to us with an open mind and an eagerness to learn. It shouldn't matter whether your background is arts, humanities, or commerce or science. For example, even in our BA economics program, which is by far has the most amount of quantitative aptitude required, even so for our BA economics program, if a student doesn't have maths in 11, 12, what we do before the program actually starts, we'll engage with the student in what we call an eco boot camp, where basics of mathematics are taught to that student. Not everything about maths, obviously, but only those things that will be required in statistical analysis or quantitative analysis, right? So when we see that a student is weak in a particular subject, what they will require in a program, we take that additional step to figure out how we can bring their math skills up to speed. Anand, do you want to add on to this?
So when I, Professor Arjya has already mentioned that he has any of the school. I hope you managed to hear me because I could see that my connection was getting a little bit lost. But anyway, in fact, in our school, banking and finance school, we speak to every student, every applicant for at least an hour. And what I look for in student, not the science background, not the commerce background, not the art background. What I look for is basically curiosity and ability to engage in some sort of conversation about complex topics. That's all I'm looking for. And if a student is not very comfortable with mathematics, as Professor Arjya has already said, we also have some sort of boot camp for those students. We also help students outside the classroom. There are office hours every faculty maintains where the student can freely walk into the office of his faculty and actually sit with that faculty member and discuss whatever problems they are facing. So again, no, I do not look for any specific kind of background. I look for entirely different thing: curiosity, ability to engage with complex kind of mindset, which enjoys and thrives in complexities of life. That's all I can say.
So, so thank you both. And of course, I don't want to thank you long. I give it over to the leadership team at Ram Ratna International School, who is representing other schools as well. So we have the vice principal available here to conclude, and thank you all. Thank the schools. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Himanshu sir. And a big thanks to Miss Professor Majumdar and Professor Mishra. It was really a very informative session. You have, in a very short period of time, actually uh, clearly made us understand what OP Jindal stands for. So, thank you for such a crisp but detailed presentation of everything what OP Jindal offers. I'm very sure all the parents, educators who have attended must have definitely benefited from this session. And thank you, Mr. Dev, for conducting this session so wonderfully, for moderating it and bringing such big stalwarts on our platform and making it possible for us to listen to them. So thank you once again to all of you. Thank you to all the educators, staff, students who have attended this session. Your encouraging presence have really motivated us a lot, and wish you all a very lovely weekend ahead. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Mishra. Thank you, Majumdar, once again. Professor Majumdar, sorry. Thank you all. Namaste from me. And
Thank you very much. We are
yes,
happy to
thank
be here.
you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
thank you, Mr.
Thank,
Thank you,
thank you, all of you.